Hello, you're listening to the 97th ever episode of Chismes And Menudo. He is
Ricardo, and she is
Adriana, and we are
sitting here with the lovely and talented Miss Nora, the community organizer.
beep beep beep. We need a button.
There's buttons right here.
No, they make noise.
They make noise
No,
when you click them.
Nora, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. I've been wanting to reach out to you for the longest. I think since Desiree did the article about you.
Yeah.
Have you guys talked?
Oh yeah, she's a badass.
Yeah.
But first of all, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, of course, dude. You were like a get. I was like, oh my god, if she like comes on, I'm gonna be so excited.
Well, I appreciate you, and yeah, Desiree is great. You know, we share that background of Webb Chapel, so she truly understands what I'm doing.
Yeah, she's everywhere. Like as soon as she graduated, even before then, she was like freelancing for everybody, and she interviews everybody. Anybody that she interviews, I'm like, oh fuck, I need to like see if
she's hungry.
Yes,
she's
dude.
hungry, and nothing is like below her. Like she really wants to put our stories out there.
Yeah.
So it's not for her. It's not about the money. It's not about like raising her own platform. It's about getting the stories out there that need to be out there, and the people are going to resonate with.
Right, and it's hard to find that here in Dallas. You know what I mean? Like we're growing. So anyone that's doing that right now, I'm like, oh, we need to like make sure we nurture a genuine friendship with people like that, because you know that's how we grow.
Absolutely. Like everyone, Dallas is known for just money and clout. Mm-hmm. Money and clout. That's all you want to get. And if it's beyond that, people aren't going to give you resources. They aren't going to give you opportunities.
Right.
And she's like, fuck y'all, I'm going to do this my way. And she's doing it. And I know that it's a lot for her. She has a lot on her plate as it is. You know, she has a 9-to-5. She has kids.
Yes.
She has a life. And on top of that, she's doing all this other community work, and I know what that's like. And like real recognize real. Like, so I was so happy to connect with her.
Yeah, she's awesome. I wanted to see if we can get her on the pod, but that's the thing. Like when you know the grind and when you know how busy other people are, it's like, damn, do I want to bother them and like have them like take time out of their schedule to come on? But she would also be like she has a lot of stories, I'm sure.
Yeah, she's fucking hilarious.
She is so funny.
And she has that capacity. Like some people have capacity to do all these things.
Yeah.
Even when we're tired, just because, you know, we enjoy it. And she's one of those people. So I'm sure she would love to be on.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to ask her. I'm going to shoot my shot.
Just bully her.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna beg her, please. We wanted to bring Nora on because I first discovered her through Desiree. She's a journalist here in the DFW area, and she wrote an article about Nora. And when the article came out about you, and I saw what you were doing with your art, and you know, really highlighting Webb Chapel, specifically the area that we're from, I was like, oh my gosh, like no one ever talks about this specific area, especially not like on social media. You know, we have friends and it's like a known thing, certain things in Webb Chapel, you know, like the stores around there, the people around there, but it's not a big thing. So when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to get her story.
Yeah, she reached out through a DM. She slid into my DMs and she said beautiful things about the show and about what I was trying to do. And honestly, when I did it with the purpose of bringing awareness to the area so that maybe the city government, Dallas City Council, or other orgs that provide such resources could focus on this area. I never thought that I was going to meet people from Webb Chapel. Yeah. I honestly never encountered people from Webb Chapel. So I'm like, where are we? So when she reached out to me and she was like very teary, you know, and she's like, this is my story as well. I was like, no fucking way. And then I started getting DMs from all over the place saying, I remember the cops frisking us on the street. I remember my dad getting shot in front of our front door. Like, I'm like, yes. Like, it's kind of bittersweet that you have so many people that have the same story, because, you know, it's not a great story to have, but you see yourself and you don't feel as strange and you don't feel as weird or as fucked up or as ratchet, because like, hey, you're there too and you made it. We made it, you know.
Yeah, we made it out.
Yeah, we made it. So that's how she reached out to me, and I was so surprised and so happy
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit more about your exhibit? I know I told my brother's story, but I would like love to have him hear it from you firsthand, like how you were inspired and.
Yeah. So whenever I make art, I started as a community organizer, and I have a partner who is a big time artist. They're great artists. They've been doing it for decades. So we met doing community organizing, and they taught me how to use art as a way to activate people's imaginations and activate them to do stuff for the community. And I never saw art in that way. To me, art was like in a museum with white walls in spaces that I do not belong in, am not welcome in. So then I started doing street art. First wheat pasting, then tagging, which people now call like graffiti, or like whatever they want to call it now. But we used to tag when we were kids, I don't know about
murals.
y'all. Yeah, muralist, right? But we were tagging when we were kids, we were tagging dumb things all over the place. So I started doing that, and from there the options just grew and grew. So I decided that whenever I do art, it's not going to be maybe as aesthetically pleasing as some art is. It's not going to be a landscape. It's not going to be something beautiful or cute, but it's going to activate people to do more in their communities, or it's going to bring attention to this. That's always what I want to do with whatever I'm doing, whether it is community organizing, whether it's protesting, or, yelling at a council member, or art. That's what I want the end goal to be, or the end result to be, is for the resources to come back to the community. And in this case, I did what I know, Webb Chapel, which I know how much work it needs, how many resources it needs. Like, I lived it firsthand. I can tell you how awful things are. So
especially now with the gentrification of it, with like the Sam's that's over there, like the freaking Starbucks that's over there now.
Who goes to Starbucks?
My brother does, but he's a little bougie.
I went this morning.
He's in Addison.
I'm in Addison.
But at Webb Chapel, I'm saying.
No,
Webb Chapel, who's going to go there? Like, the comadres are not going to be meeting up to Chismes at the Starbucks,
instant coffee, like
Nescafe.
Yeah, Nescafe.
Yeah.
So, I love Nescafe.
I love Nescafe.
Café de taza.
Right, yeah.
De la olla. Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to do it. And moving forward, anytime I ever do something, it's going to be for that purpose. And I just chose to focus on Webb Chapel because that's my story. That's like my my villain origin story. So like, that's what I wanted to show to the people.
Yeah. That's like home base for you, would you say? Like, what do you feel when you get the chance to go back?
When I go back, and I was just there yesterday for a birthday party. When I go back, I just feel normal. When I exist outside of the other spaces, I'm like, I never feel like I belong. But when I go back to Webb Chapel, I feel more normal. I'm like, these are my people. So I still drive all the way up here to go to Paisano. Like, no one's going to convince me there's any tacos better than that. I bring my son to Bachman Lake so he can watch the planes go, land and take off, just like we did when we were kids. And of course, they still have friends
feed
and
the
family
ducks
here.
and stuff.
Yeah, even though we're not supposed to.
You're not supposed to feed them bread. You're supposed to take semillas. You're supposed to take, bird feed.
Nobody does.
I'm not doing that. I'm going to start. No.
Yeah. We're gonna do a research. We promise. PETA, if you're out there.
Yeah. No, we have an episode right now where we hope PETA never sees.
What do we do
with Mike?
That wasn't bad. There's a dude with a pig farm in Florida in the residential area. That ain't nothing bad.
And he shot him.
He didn't shoot him.
He didn't, but he was complicit in their murder.
He wasn't complicit.
They were murdered.
They weren't murdered.
Well,
pig homicide. Yeah. Yes. So they killed cops is what they did.
No, it was a legitimate pig farm, but it was in Florida. Their laws.
Yeah, who cares in Florida?
Their laws are kooky.
Oh, have you heard about what's going on in Florida right now?
Yeah,
that's fucking insane, dude. I hope they come over here.
They're gonna rape.
Do it over here? What the fuck you mean?
No. Like the people come over here so we can get fucking 35. What were you saying last time? You were
35 fixed.
Yeah,
they can finally fucking fix that shit. That's ridiculous, dude. That shit's been. Yeah, they've been working on 35 for like 35 years. It's fucking ridiculous.
I'm over it. I don't even drive in that area.
I have to drive it all the time.
That's probably why you're mad about it.
Yes. Another area that I fucking hate is right over here. The merging lane from like 75 to or 635 to 75. That shit
And that's
sucks.
already done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's supposed to be
But
functioning.
it's the way that they designed it, because if you come on, you have to go all the way over to like be able to stay on 635. But if you
Yeah.
want to get off, like it's just a weird merging lane. So then it's only 2 lanes going either north or south,
Yeah.
like to downtown or to McKinney or whatever.
But honestly,
Fucking
I
suck.
hope
I hate-
they don't
I hate
expand
this
it,
guy.
because that would be like so much more like, let's finish 35.
and then you
635,
wonder where
yeah.
the road rage comes from.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the engineering.
635 is getting expanded.
Huh?
It is.
Travis?
Yeah. Do you not pay attention when you drive home?
No,
Do you
she
not-
leaves her body and then she just opens her eyes and she's at home. That's what happens.
Have you not seen all that construction going from here to your place?
Yeah, but it's like not really.
They're making it like a 6-lane highway.
How many lanes is it now?
Actually,
wouldn't know.
It might be bigger. They're just making it bigger. And
I
they're
thought they were
adding
going
like,
under like they did over there, fucking Marsh Lane and stuff.
yeah, probably.
They're going under.
I think so.
They're
But
not
there's
expanding.
also, they're making a bridge. Did you see that little bridge
Oh
that
yeah,
they
the
put
white
up?
one.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? On Instagram? No. Wait, so you don't drive by there to go to Oak Cliff?
To
no.
Mesquite.
No.
Is Oak Cliff and Mesquite near each other?
I
Never
actually
mind.
don't normally leave the loop, which is like 12, 635, and then
35?
35 and 30. Like I normally don't go outside of this parameter.
Yeah.
If
You
you
have a lot of-
mention like Mesquite, I'm like, I don't go out there.
Oh, that's where I'm from.
Mesquite.
Oh, you
Well,
live
not
in
from,
Mesquite?
but like I live in Mesquite.
yeah.
Okay. I have a few friends that live in Mesquite and they're like, come on. I'm like,
All the way over there. Yeah,
got
from where
to
you were
wash my
saying.
hair that day. Like, so
Yeah,
far.
it's far from where you were saying.
Yeah.
It was at,
I
'cause
live right by the zoo.
Yeah.
So no matter where I go, I'm going to hit traffic because
that whole area right
they
there
just merge
sucks.
right there. All the freeways merge right there. So,
Yeah.
Dang. Would you move back to Webb Chapel if you could? The homes are crazy expensive now.
Yes. And I feel like it needs more things. Like it doesn't have any sort of arts. The recreation center is like kind of slowly coming alive, but it's
Where
still,
on Wanley Hill? The Wanley Hill.
no, the one in Bachman Lake.
See,
They're trying to do things with it. You know, that the council member Omar, he really, this is his last term, so he really wants to look good, obviously. So he opened up the aquatic center, but you still have to pay to get in. Like, whose moms are going to pay for them to go to the pool? You know,
yeah.
go to the free apartment pool.
Yeah.
So, and I told him that I'm like, it's great that you did that, but who's going? You know, like who's going to go? And the recreation center is getting a little bit better, but not a lot of people in the neighborhood know that that you're able to go. Even kids are free now. Like the parents get a little card and all your kids get free recreation center cards, but nobody knows that.
Yeah.
So, and there's no theaters, there's no galleries. Like it just needs more. It needs to be like, but not for people to move here.
Yeah.
For the people that
For the
live
people that are
here,
there.
we need more things here. There's not a lot of things to do here. So I'm not quite sure. Obviously, I couldn't afford a home here.
Yeah.
So
Man, see, that's why we moved to Mesquite. It's when we were looking. It was like I would have loved, honestly, I would have loved to get one of those duplexes on Nogales right there, because that's where our family's from.
yeah,
Like,
Artia.
our aunt moved here from Monterrey, found her guy and stayed, and she's been in the same apartments. I was born in Granada. My son,
in the
She was,
bathtub.
she was born in the she was born in the hospital.
well, you know what I mean. And my oldest son was born there. You know, so it's
In the hospital. Different hospital.
at Parkland.
No,
Parkland, and then her kid. She was
I was
bougie.
born at Parkland. yes.
Yeah, we were both born in Parkland.
You know why it was weird?
Special honor.
You know why it was weird that when you were saying like that, you know, your mom had to use, you know, certain other resources that, you know, are frowned upon
Yeah,
or whatever. Like our mom had it to where because her sister was here when she came over with friends, she wasn't legal. She was illegal. And but because she already had her sister here and they made friends here, like she was working other people's socials, allegedly, you know?
Yeah.
And so I guess it was, you don't really ever stop unless you like are really fucking it up, you know? And so she was always using someone else's. And so for us, I think they really like kept us from a lot of things that, you know.
They just protected you
Yes,
from a lot of
yes.
those.
And also we had our dad growing up. So I think that is a big factor in like why we probably didn't go through a lot of those things, because until I was like 15, 16 was when our parents split up. But until then, it was like we were this normal family that spoke Spanish, you know, but it wasn't ever like as drastic as we like we couldn't afford rent. It wasn't until we were like in our teens when that happened. But as kids, it was like, you know, I felt like middle class as kids.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I knew we were poorer than people, but I also knew like our parents are probably paycheck to paycheck, but we're not hungry. The lights are on, and like we're not getting kicked out. It wasn't until our parents split up where we were like, oh shit, we're poor now. Fuck.
Yeah, well, we really felt it.
For like from when I was in kindergarten up until I was like in 8th grade, we didn't even go back to Webb Chapel. We actually lived like off of Midway, where that new Walmart is, right over there off Midway.
Oh yeah,
the apartments that used to be
that
there.
were right
yeah,
there.
I used to live there.
Yeah.
Okay,
but we like it was like always we were going back to Webb Chapel. We were always going back.
Yeah, my mom. So you know, this is what she knows, and this is you know her home.
Because like
so
we
she
said,
lives in Oak Cliff now, but she's never felt at home in Oak Cliff.
Yeah,
and she got, you know, the prices were getting so high. She finally had the resources to buy her own home, and she lives like, technically you could say it's kind of close to Camp Wisdom in 35.
Oh shit.
So that's where she found a house that she was able to afford. But she's, you know, very proud. It took her till she was in her 60s to be able to buy a home, but she was able to. But of course, she would have loved to live in the Webb Chapel area. She just couldn't afford it.
Yeah. There's a house, like I'll look on Zillow for houses because we're trying to get a house next year. There's one that I can afford there. And it's like off of, where the fuck is it at? It's kind of close by that church where the new San Juan Diego is at.
Is it near Royal?
Yeah, by Royal.
Yes.
By
Actually,
Rio
yeah, no.
And Dennis?
It's Wanna Hill. Never mind. Sorry.
it's
It's Wanna Hill. Yeah, it's Wanna Hill. But it looks like shit. it looks like whoever was there was like running a meth lab or some shit.
If you want to buy a house and you are like middle class,
I'm not trying to live in the fucking meth house. Fuck that.
no, well, I mean, if you want to be
What
there,
if I get an itching for it?
No, well, it does stay in the walls, doesn't it?
I have no idea.
Meth.
I'm sure some guy that does real estate and flips houses is going to buy it, flip it. And so I'm sure that's what's going to happen.
That's what happened with whenever the tornado went through there. Mm-hmm. There's like houses there that look completely out of place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why the fuck is this like modern ass house here?
Yeah, and it's like the little casitas that are over there that look like little squares, and it's like this big old house.
But that it's also the same thing over in whatchamacallit, like in Greenville. That area was also very impoverished for like a long time, and then people started moving in.
Yeah, near Ross and all of that. Yeah, they just push you out. One of my friends described it as terraforming, because you move into the neighborhood, but instead of trying to fit in with where you're moving into, you just like, no, I'm going to do this, and you're just like, this is what I want it to be, and you just terraform whatever you want. However you want it to be like.
Yeah. And then they're like, this isn't the way my neighborhood ran things, so I'm going to start an HOA, and I'm going to charge fees for that HOA, even for the people that have been here 30 years.
Yeah. And I'm going to call the cops every fucking weekend, you know,
because
I heard a noise, you know.
Yeah.
I heard music. What is that? I'm going to call the cops. So
I'm trying to gentrify rich areas. Like I'm going to be real rich and have like cars that aren't running on the lawn.
Right there. Have like 20 cars in like a 5-6 bedroom house.
Mariachis every fucking weekend. And be like, how do y'all like it?
just paint the house pink.
Yeah.
Like the Mexican
Paint it
houses.
multicolor. Yeah.
Take out all the grass, put cement everywhere.
Yeah. That's a tell.
That's a real specific.
That is a tell. Okay. My madrina has no grass in her backyard no more. Okay. And I remember getting muddy in that bitch.
Yeah.
I think she even uprooted the tree that was back there. It was a big, gigantic.
The tree?
Like, yeah. Put fucking concrete down.
I remember they used to have a trampoline like right under it. I would always like try to jump into the tree.
Yeah.
Hit the fuck out of my head so many times.
What would you call like Webb Chapel because it's Webb Chapel, right? But then it's like Webb Chapel, Forest, Marsh Lane, Royal. That's like what I would consider.
It's technically considered far North Dallas.
Yeah, it is.
Everyone calls it North Dallas.
Mm-hmm, yeah, North Dallas.
Like when people ask me, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm from North Dallas.
Yes.
Because people used to ask me, I'm like, North Dallas, Webb Chapel. And they'd be like, Webb Chapel?
I always say
Webb Chapel because people associate North Dallas to north of 35 or 635, sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not even Dallas. I don't even consider that Dallas anymore.
No.
Like they don't get that Dallas privilege. Like they're Addison or they're Farmers Branch or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I don't say North Dallas. I always just say Webb Chapel, and if they want to stay confused, they can.
Yeah, or look it up. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like 3 things are going to come up.
All these news stories come up.
It's like, oh my God, these kids are dying.
Can you explain your art? Like how it led, like how you did a specific piece or what made you first think of the...
Well, first what I had to do is come back because I haven't really revisited a lot of the places where we lived because it's trauma. So it's like triggering yourself for what. But I did go back and it brought back a lot of memories that I had suppressed. So I drove around for like a good month taking photos and I wasn't sure what I was going to do yet, but I knew that I needed reference photos and I went into the places that I lived and I'm like, God, you live like this. But, and what shocked me the most about Webb Chapel is how it hasn't changed. I thought it's been 25, 30 years. I'm sure they've made improvements. No, in fact, like things look worse. And one of my pieces that I made was the swimming pool that we had growing up. Literally, that's all we had. The parks that we had nearby was like Royal and 35. And like Midway and One Hill, which were not even really allowed, over there. Yeah. So we went to that pool all summer, every summer. And I went to go like see it. I'm like, oh, a happy memory. And they had filled it with sand. So like those kids that live there now don't even have the pool at Nottingham. Well, they're not called Nottingham anymore.
Which ones are Nottingham?
It's like if you take Webb Chapel until it ends.
All the way down past
Webb Chapel Extension? Or?
Yeah,
Webb Chapel Creek. I'm sorry. If you take Chapel Creek Drive.
Okay.
Till it ends. Not on where Granada is, but on the other side of Webb Chapel.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
You see the little bridge? Yes, it's right where the bridge is.
Yeah.
That's where we lived for many years. And we would just move around in apartments within those apartments. And
those are dangerous.
Yeah, girl.
No, but like way deep in there.
Yeah, because you got the creek on one side and on the other side you have the cemetery.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anything could happen. We weren't aware of those things. We just thought that was how everybody lived. But
that's one thing that I always thought was weird. It wasn't until I started like working with people that lived in richer areas because I worked at Hollister for a little while, and then I told. Yeah, and
he was in the back.
Okay,
he wasn't in the front.
I was in the front.
You didn't wear the polos or whatever.
I had to. Oh, they made us pay for our shit. That pissed me off.
No, that makes sense.
I was like, give me my shit.
That sounds about right.
I was like, give me the
He wasn't the model
uniform.
in the front with no shirt on. I'll say that.
Yes, I absolutely was. They didn't ask me to, but I definitely stood out there with my shirt off.
He was ripped.
But yeah, dude, like I worked with this girl and I was talking to her and I was like, oh yeah, I can't remember what the fuck I was telling her. Oh, I was telling her about metal detectors, like in our schools, and she was like, metal detectors? Are you going to the airport? I was like, what the fuck do you mean? Y'all don't have metal detectors? And she was like, no, why would we need metal detectors? Like, in case somebody tries to bring in like a gun or a knife.
Yeah, like, you dumb. Like, how are you not safe? Like, we're thinking it's like safety. It's like, no, because we're bringing in the gun.
I remember going into middle school, not even batting an eye. They were like, put your bag here, go through the metal detector. Okay.
Yeah, it was like nothing.
It was like, yeah, that makes sense. People have guns. Children have guns.
Yeah. 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 So you grow up thinking everyone lives like this. And yeah, I went back and I'm like, they took the soul joy that we had. Like, how are these kids living? So then I went around and then I'm like, okay, what I'm going to do is, since these memories are coming back to me, I'm going to create collages, because that's what I do. I'm going to create a collage for each memory and show how my outside, like the outside, not internal causes, but like these are all external causes, like the poverty, the over policing, you know, the lack of resources, how that's what causes this trauma. So that's what I did. I basically recreated my memories into collages. And I did not think that anyone would know what the fuck they were looking at, but people did. And that was it was super vulnerable when I realized, oh shit, people know what this is. I thought people were going to be like, oh, it's just an abstract like thing. No, people saw it and people knew what it was. And I was like, fuck, well, there goes that. It really made me face a lot of like what I had grown up with. So we have that swimming pool one, for example. And then there's the one that was called Ricky, where that kid is knocked out on the floor. That's something that I actually did. This really big guy, Ricky. He was big and scary, but he fucked with my friend. So I did what I had to do. And then, you know, I ran. But so that's the exact spot where it happened. I did everything in the exact spot where everything happened. And hopefully that, like, my goal was like to show society that doesn't normally see that kind of stuff what happens to us out there and how we're just out there. Like, if we make it out, that's a fucking miracle. Like, me and my friends would be doing crazy things in the street that no kid should be doing, but that's just what we grew up with, and we made it out somehow. And I want to make sure people know what's happening out there, because if we had the resources, if we had less police out there and more people looking out for us, maybe more of us would be not dead. Maybe more of us would be not in prison, not pregnant at 12, 13. Maybe we would have graduated more, you know.
Not
the
alcoholics,
drug addicts, the things that everybody else gets to have. We need that too. Like, we deserve that too. So, and you know, people have been listening, and it's been pretty mind blowing.
Has there been like I know you said like not much has changed, but has anything, like, have you seen any sort of improvement?
The only thing that I've seen, that the only organization that I have seen paying attention to that area is Academia Theater. So Academia Theater puts on, you know, plays, shows, events, workshops. They have a summer camp, and they are the only organization, aside from the Catholic, you know, religious types of orgs that I feel are predatory to the people that live there. Aside from them, they're the only like arts organization that I've seen out there doing things. Recently, as of like this year, the Nasher Sculpture Center has been doing stuff in that new library. But that's literally like last month, you know? And I don't know what their motivations are either, because they're like this big white institution. So I don't trust it.
It has to be us.
Yeah.
People from there.
Yeah.
In order for it to be genuine.
So when Caramia had started doing productions out here, they reached out to the people that they knew in the community, not Webb Chapel, but, you know, Oak Cliff or in Dallas in general. And they're like, who do y'all know? Who do y'all know? And I knew some of the people that were working with them already. And they're like, I think Nora's from Webb Chapel, from District 6 is what they call it. They don't call it Webb Chapel. I think Nora's from District 6. You should reach out to her. District 6, that's our district. So they reached out to me, and I was like, you want to do something there? I'm like, where? We had to do it at the lake, out on the lawn.
That's the only place.
We don't have a theater out here. And the library, we did something eventually like a year later in the library, but for a play that we wanted to put on, we just did it. They're like, Nora, where would you go? I'm like, we don't have anything. And they didn't believe me. And they sent one of their assistants out to look for a place. They couldn't find anything. I'm like, because there's nothing. So we had to do it outside Bachman Lake, middle of summer. We did it. It was great. But then the next year they found out that there's a black box theater in the library that nobody uses, and we use it. So
is that, like you said, that's a yearly thing? Or are they doing more?
They want to do more, but it's not really like a yearly thing. It's just whenever they can, whenever they have the funding to do some, then they because they want to pay the artists that help. You know, they don't want to just be like, hey, come do this volunteer work. So they try to pay the people that they work with as much as they can. So they need funding for that, and they need someone to like write the plays. They need someone to organize everything. So it takes a while, and so far it's happening like once a year.
Yeah. which is what we can do
Yeah.
for now.
So, but other than that, I mean,
I know there's one.
Have you guys seen
I know
any
there's
improvements?
not improvements, but there's one organization that's called Bachman Togetherness. Have you heard of that one?
Oh yeah,
That's the only one that I know of that's done anything there.
they do a lot of.
It's like GED for the moms or for like the adults, right? Because I know they just posted a graduation picture.
Bachman Together is kind of just like almost like a neighborhood association. So they just do community outreach to make sure that the community is aware of these programs that are available, or if there's an event coming up, or they try to educate people about the recreation center that don't know, or the tutoring programs that are around. That's what they do as far as I know. And I have had someone reach out to me from there that like, hey, whenever you need people to show up at City Hall, whenever you need people to show up at town halls, whenever you need people power, let me know and we'll be there. So I'm in the process of working with the council member, Omar, for District 6 to start talks about or get funding for a cultural center. Much like Oak Cliff Cultural Center, South Dallas Cultural Center, Latino Cultural Center in East Dallas, I'm pushing having one here. And I know exactly where I would put it. They probably don't want it there, but...
where would you put it? Could you
know that billiard center that's off of Brockbank? Where people get stabbed?
Oh my God.
I used to go there all the time. I used to go there all the time. If we could get, if the city could buy that building, because it's cheaper than them having to build another building.
And
the family, the Korean family that owns it, I love them. So I'm like, pay the money, buy that building, and make it to where instead of people getting stabbed there, maybe it's a cultural center, a nice little cultural center. So
it's kind of almost not really in the center, but at least it's close to all the apartments.
It's very in the middle of all of the community of the heart of where everything, the Fiesta's there, Lombardi's there, all the apartments are there. It's close to Bachman Lake. So I think that would be, I don't think you're going to go for it, but so we're in the process of that. There's bond hearings this year, which means the bond is what the money that they give the council members every 2 years to decide what they're going to do with it. And then the council member has to decide what he's going to put that money towards. So you have to work with the council member, which is not my forte because I do the opposite. I spent years yelling at this man and now he's helping me. So shout out to Omar. But so you have to push him to make this a priority. But then you also have to go to the hearings, go to the town halls, till so that we even get the money. And then once we have the money and you have the support from the council member, maybe in 7 years you'll see it built. It takes that long to get something to happen, but as long as the idea is out there and it's being worked towards, even if I don't see it in my lifetime, something's gonna in the future, maybe the kids will have a place to go to, for the summer when they're not in school or after school, or if they want to explore things why didn't I explore it when I was younger, or music, or theater. There's other things. People just want to get these inner city kids, and the only thing they offer them is sports or academics.
Yeah.
You're either going to be a football player, soccer player, honestly, here. You're either going to be a soccer player or you're going to ace that SAT and you're going to get a scholarship. But
most of the time, most of the time, that's with the guys of you need to get out of here.
Yeah.
You need to leave.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's never a thing of stay in your community, not because you can't get out, but because you want to make it better.
You want to make it better. You want to give back.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some kid out there that wanted to be an artist instead of an accountant, So I want there to be more options for kids, and I want them to, and I know it's such a cliche to say, oh, these kids are getting in trouble because they don't have anything to do. But it's true. It is true. The only reason I was running around with my gang member cousins, because I was bored and my mom wasn't around. She was working 3 jobs. So I'm I'm not going to sit at home bored with no cable. I'm going to go out and we're going to steal cars, or we're going to attack that building because it's fun, because I'm 14 and I think it's fun. But maybe I wanted to do something else, but we don't have those options. We don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
It was like that, or it was either go out and get in trouble in the street, or if you had a phone or like a computer at home, which most of us didn't, it was get in trouble online. You know, and like be talking to like grown ass men that are gonna fucking find us at the fucking fiesta over there, fucking, you know, like.
Yes, I'm sorry, it's not funny, but it's. Yeah, of
what
course,
can you
of
do?
course I
Like,
did that. Like I'm like much older than y'all, so I didn't like
Are
the
you really?
internet wasn't even. I'm 38.
You're 38.
no
Yeah.
way.
So the internet wasn't even a thing. Like
They were
maybe
like 30, dude. That you were like,
like maybe I was graduating, and that's when like we first started in Web Chapel, like getting
Yeah.
little hints of the internet. But so thank God we didn't have it, because
it would have been way worse.
It would have been worse, because things. You know what? I'll say that the gangs aren't really around anymore, so that's kind of an improvement. Like and it was so stupid that they were around in the first place. It's not like we're Compton or New York. What were we doing here?
Not like
nothing. We're just
nothing.
fucking around, right? And like
Yeah.
killing each other, but for what?
Yeah.
We couldn't even really organize that well.
We had like a little bit of racketeering, a little bit of gun racketeering, a little bit of like crime, but other than that,
We
the
didn't
turf wars
market
were so
ourselves
stupid.
well. Like we didn't have any good colors. It was like blue, but it was like Web Chapel Crib.
Cribs,
Like
yeah.
what?
The
Web
Crips,
Chapel in
like
front of it.
in in California are like, we don't claim that.
Yeah.
So yeah, at least that's not a thing anymore. And I feel like as a society, like the younger generations are less violent than we were.
Yeah, it's because they're mean online.
Yeah.
I guess so.
It's all online.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hide behind like the mask of the computer, and they're just like, I can say whatever I want out here.
Yeah.
Whereas,
No,
like,
you're right.
Yeah, whereas like when you were coming up like on that age, like in middle school, high school,
would
and everything,
find
it was
you.
like, oh, you're talking shit down the fucking street.
Meet me outside. Yeah, it was good.
Meet me by the motherfucking flagpole.
There was so many. Did you guys go to TJ?
No, we
No.
went to White.
Oh,
You went to TJ?
yeah, I went to TJ. So like, if you had a beef, you're gonna get shot in a drive-by. Drive-bys were the thing, or you're gonna get beat up on the steps by the flagpole. So yeah, I guess that's a little different. That's a little bit better.
Did you go to Cary too?
Yeah.
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 Cary right into TJ. The only thing I remember from Cary is that like I just always heard like horror stories in elementary school of like a kid getting stabbed, and I was like, good thing I'm going to Marsh,
Yeah,
where
me
they
too.
die of drug overdoses.
They were true. They were true. And I would have such anxiety about my little brothers, like something happening to them, because I was the second oldest. And so all my brothers were younger than me, and I would have that anxiety that like something was going to happen to them at Cary.
Yeah.
But
She
luckily,
was kind of the same way. She was worried about me going to Marsh because my class was the first sixth graders that got integrated into middle schools. So she was like, he's too young. Like she was so scared.
I was panicking. Yeah. Because in middle school, I was out drinking. I was out stealing cars to take them for joyrides with my little gangbanger friends, And then it was, we're going to take pictures of ourselves naked and like put it on the internet or whatever. I never did that, but a lot of my friends did. And so it was like, yeah, I guess physically my era wasn't like, I don't know, because it was half and half. But as we got older, yeah, it wasn't like drive-bys. It was more of like, we're going to meet somebody on the internet and we're going to get killed, whatever, right? Or like bullying, and we're going to like kill ourselves because we can't take the bullying.
And her years when Cheese came around, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Cheese.
Yeah, I got in trouble for Cheese.
She started in a locker at TJ.
Did
Was
it?
it TJ?
Oh, we don't even know that. How do you know you were?
I was there. It was like all over the news because that's where they first found it. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was TJ. I thought it was in Mesquite.
I mean, I was in high school, so like.
Did you try it? Did you do it?
No. So the funny thing is that like I got most things out of my system, like you said, in middle school.
Exactly.
We would take like vodka and Hawaiian punch bottles to school. Like we would. That's where we did. So I don't even drink. I had never like smoked weed my whole life, and people are like, "You're such a square." I'm like, "No, I just did it before." But drugs did scare me because like all my cousins would do it, and I saw how fucked up mentally. Some of my cousins ended up because they were like do so much coke that it would like mess up their brain. So that I was scared of. Like, no le tenía miedo a someone fighting someone on the street, but I was scared of like fucking up my brain with drugs. So I didn't do it for the longest time. I finally like took a gummy maybe 2 years ago.
Really?
Like a weed gummy.
Oh,
and I was like, okay, this is not that bad.
But like weed is like, you know.
Yeah, but other than that, no. But I don't drink, and I mean, for a while I haven't drank, and everyone's like, why don't you drink? Are you just sober now? I'm like, no, it's just that I tried it when I was like 12, 13, and I got it out of my system.
It really is getting it out of your system. Like now I would rather like smoke like Delta 8 than drink. You know, I do socially, but I remember like getting drunk at 12 years old at my best friend's house, and like her older brother would have these parties like right there off of what is it, Rick? Webb Chapel in Walnut Hill?
Yes.
That right in that area, those houses that are there, and like being so drunk and then walking out of her house and then walking down the street, and it was like the worst thing you could do, you know, especially in that area. And I was like, you know, I've already put myself in enough danger. It's a miracle that I'm still here. Like, I just don't even want to.
Yeah, we would have parties like over near Story in Clydesdale, and like that's where my friends lived. And so we would head over there, and we would just be like vomiting on the lawn. Like, it would be like 15. I'm like, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore.
It's not fun.
Yeah, and then with our parties would get busted by the cops, and we'd all have to like spread out like roaches, like to not get caught. So I was like, I'm okay. I did that. It's fine. I tried it.
Drinking at that age and doing those stuff then was fun. Now it's like you get drunk at brunch and then you go home and you go to sleep for the rest of the day. It's like not even worth it.
Yeah,
you know. But when you did your first exhibit, is that like the only one that you do, or do you do them often? Like, do you have like a big showings often, or?
No, I've done them before. That was my first solo exhibit. But like the biggest thing I've done is, you know, me and my partner went to the Capitol during COVID, like when COVID was really big, and they were, I mean, it's still around, but they were trying to, you know, take workers' rights away. So we hooked up with Workers' Defense Project, and we created an installation inside the Capitol that I can't believe they let us do it, because it's basically like calling them out in their own building. But it was during the Texas Ledge in 2021. So we were, the senators or the lawmakers had to pass by there every day. It was in the rotunda. So they had to pass by there every day. I mean, I didn't do much, but it really got the word out about, like, they were taking away water breaks. They were, you know, just making things more dangerous for construction workers. So we worked with their members to create this beautiful exhibit on scaffolding. And, you know, they created it was a collaborative effort, and it was beautiful. And then we had like one of the construction workers sing a song that he wrote in the rotunda. Like, whoa. It was beautiful. So that's like the biggest thing I've done. But like I said, I've been doing, and I do like tagging all the time, because to me, that's the most accessible thing to people. People aren't going to go to museums all the time. So I love doing street art. I love it because you can do whatever the fuck you want as long as you don't get caught. No face, no case. So go around and do that wherever you can.
When do you do that? Like, I mean, if you can say, like,
where?
When?
I mean,
at nighttime?
10 after, you know, in the summer it's going to be a little later, but in the winter is ideal because it's too hot to, like, you know, you have to wear all black. You can't be recognized. You know, you have to make sure your face is covered, and just do it wherever you think people are going to see it. Because, you could do it in an alley, but who's going to see it in an alley?
Yeah.
So you have to go do it where the people are going to see it.
And like broad, like where you could be seen doing it.
Yeah. So you have to do it then. And then people wake up in the morning and they see it. And they're like, oh, fuck, maybe you make them think a little bit more about, you know, their rights, their social rights and stuff like that. I love danger. Obviously, I grew up there. So it makes me feel alive. So I do that. And, you know, it is a felony. So,
but like that sucks that like using that specific medium. I mean, of course, like vandalism, but it's
straight up a felony. It's not even like a misdemeanor. So can't get caught. For legal purposes, don't go out and do that. But, that's what I like to do.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. And that's what I love. But then you also go into these spaces where you normally wouldn't see yourself, and you make yourself like belong. And I love that too, because I love scaring white people. That's one of my favorite things also. So go into these spaces where you're not allowed, and you make yourself belong. And then also another thing that I love is creating my own spaces to uplift others, because it is fun to scare the whites, and it is fun to go into these spaces and they see it and they're like, oh, we got to watch out for this person. But then they move on with their lives. So instead of artists of color trying to get into those spaces, I would really love for us to not focus on that and focus on creating our own spaces, and then gatekeeping the white people. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is ours and we don't need y'all. So that's the goal.
Yeah, sounds awesome. I don't know how you feel about like wanting to go back to Webb Chapel, and like I actually did want to go and work with Bachman together and like learn what that is. I romanticize that area. It's very like our childhood when we were like little. I still have memories from there, even though we did move to the apartments where the Walmart was at. It's just like the family parties that were there. Like, it was a time where all of our family was very together versus now where like none of us talk anymore. We barely see each other. And for whatever reason that might be, like, because of those memories, that area is just like, it's like I feel at home there.
Yeah.
Like, I live in Mesquite, and I still, like, I made sure to keep my kids here still in school. Like, so I drive every morning from Mesquite, literally here in this area, like 5 minutes from here, because I don't feel at home in Mesquite. It's not my home.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would love to do whatever, like something.
I'm proud as hell. Like, Desiree doesn't live here either, and there's something about Chapel.
Yes,
it's kind of like, I'm from Durango too, so double, like, we're super proud. Like, Durango people are like putting scorpions on everything. So that's kind of how I feel about Webb Chapel. Is like, I'm super proud to like have grown up here, and like, I'm not gonna let anyone talk shit about it. And there is, I think the reason why you feel like that, it's not really romanticizing. It's that it's probably the last time in your life that you felt like you belong, because it's so Mexican. Culturally, it's so Mexican, unapologetically Mexican, that people that live here don't try to assimilate. They don't give a fuck about assimilating. Nothing. They don't give a fuck about speaking English. They don't give, like, Fiesta is not gonna, they have other signs in Spanish. So all the restaurants that are here, all the income tax places, the
Ameritax, shout out
like the washaterias, like, everyone they don't try to like make you speak English or, they don't try to assimilate. They are going to be Mexican, and like, they're never going, that's just unapologetically who they're going to be. And that's what it's like living here. And even Oak Cliff's not like that, because Oak Cliff is very Chicano, which is very different than like first generation or immigrant,
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people, when they immigrate from Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, they land here. They land in Webb Chapel.
Yeah.
Sometimes they land in other places, but I feel like they land here. And because it's what everybody, like, they tell people back home, hey, this is where you should live. This is where we're all gathering.
Yeah.
And then they leave. But
it makes way for like more, like, it's like the ones that leave are the ones that have, for as long as it takes, have built themselves up to be able to leave. And then it's like, okay, like the next round of immigrants,
it's a hub.
Yes.
It's a hub, and it's so important. And that's what the city needs to realize. This isn't some throwaway neighborhood. This neighborhood, it's fucking important.
Yeah.
And it dictates a lot of what happens in the rest of the city, because that's where we first land. And then you move out to other areas. So they need to give this area attention.
Yeah.
That's 100%. How I feel.
When, Granada, they're about to tear that down. Those apartments.
That's sad.
Yeah, dude. That's that would be our third apartment complex where we had our childhood.
Oh, yeah,
where are they going to build houses?
Probably condos or some shit.
I don't know.
Some bullshit.
Maybe more apartments that are the same. Like I don't know, but like because my tia has lived there since like what the
80s,
the 80s,
the late 80s probably.
She was a manager there at Granada. And so when my mom came, she became the manager there at Granada. And my madrina was worked very closely with the owners that made my mom and my tia managers there. And so
our mom was manager there like on 2 separate occasions when we were little, like when she had first gotten here, when we were little, and then also when we ended up moving back to the area.
Yeah, because we lived, the apartments that were Walmart, we lived there, and then our dad left, and he left us in a time where my mom didn't have a job. She was a stay-at-home mom. And when he left her with $250. So we got evicted, had to move to Chapel Creek, the apartments on Chapel Creek, which was like, for us, it sucked, right? Because we're 16, 14. We know what's going on. We know we're broke. Our family knows we're broke. Like, I had cousins coming up to me like, so your dad left? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, bitch.
Yeah, we were homeless at one point and we had to move in with my aunt, and that was the worst.
We lived with our aunt for a couple of years.
They made us feel like, Tia, if you're listening, I still hold this against you. They just made us feel like horrible. They just made us feel like, arrimados, so
we got lucky and we had really like my tia, her husband that's my mom's sister. So he's our uncle by marriage, but never made us feel that way. Always made us feel secure. But it was a 2-bedroom and they already had
4 people there?
No. It was
Charlie wasn't living there yet.
No.
When we lived there, no.
I lived next door. She had a duplex, bought both of them, so she owned both of the duplexes. Okay. So her kids lived on the other side. But it was a 2-bedroom, and it was our cousin and his parents, my tia and my tío, me, my mom, and my brother. I want to say
Charlie wasn't there, dude.
No, she was at Granada. So it was like we would move in on Nogales in that street.
Because you know who was in the other side of the duplex? When you're talking about the first time we lived there, right?
Right after Dad left.
Yeah, it would have been you, me, Tia, Tío, Jesse, and Mom. So like 6 people in the 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. And then her son lived on the other side with his wife and 4 kids. Mm-hmm. And then eventually that was like my freshman year of high school. And then we ended up.
That's super hard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then my sophomore year, we got an apartment at the same apartments that we used to live in right there by where the Walmart is. Mm-hmm. No, where the Walmart is now.
Oh, right. Because Spanish Point.
Yeah. So we went back for 1 year. And then my junior year, I think that's when we were at Granada. Because then my senior year is when we moved into the other side of the duplex.
Everywhere. I mean,
every year, dude. Every year.
How like, first of all, how many people are you able to talk to that actually can relate?
Like the areas?
Yes.
But also the situation, the circumstances.
Yes.
But then 2, like, how the fuck are we supposed to thrive in that situation? How are we supposed to like do our schoolwork?
Yeah. No, I didn't graduate high school. Yeah. Because it was my junior year.
When Dad left, it was your junior year.
That junior year, I was fucked up, girl. Because first of all, I'm very expressive already since a kid. I mean, ask anybody. But then also, I'm very angry. And when that happened, I was taking it on everybody, even myself, physically, emotionally, everything. So no, I didn't do my fucking schoolwork.
Yeah.
And then like senior year came around and it was like, okay, like, it's been a year, it still hurts, but I'm like, it's getting better or whatever. But at that point, junior year is like the most important.
Up your GPA.
Yeah. Like, and at that point I was like, you know what? Like, it was embarrassing, and because of all of our cousins went to the same school, I'm sure everyone there knew. I mean, I told my friends obviously, but I'm sure they're like, yeah. Because my dad was also very active in my friend group. So like, when we would go to school,
he didn't like my friends.
When we would go to school, like everyone would come over to our apartment because before he left, we lived in a 3-bedroom apartment. I had my own room. Like, girl, I was living large. Girl.
We didn't even know how good you had it.
No, and my dad like was this very outgoing. Is very outgoing, very charming, very machista, but very liberal at the same time. Like he was very progressive. So my friends loved him.
He was just cool with everybody.
Yeah, he was cool with everybody.
He talked mad shit, but at the end of the day, he was like, hey,
he was a little racist.
But he was cool with everybody.
He was cool with everybody, and all my friends loved him. I was the only girl in my friend group that still had a dad, you know, as kids growing up. And all
of them, really?
Pretty much, yeah. Tor didn't have him. Elena didn't have her mom growing up. Like, Dylan didn't have her dad. Michelle didn't. Yeah, no. And so it was like, that was their dad. And so when he left, they were seeing me, but they were also hurt. Because it was like, you know, it sucks for her, but also we liked him, and how dare he. And so they knew, but my cousins knew, and they all went there. So it was kind of like, I know you fucking said some shit. And then it would be like random guys from where, you know, from class that would be like, oh, your dad left? I'm like, how do you know my dad? First of all, you've never been to my house, you fucking asshole. Like, you know, and it was embarrassing. And it was like, yeah, no, and that wasn't even like a big thing. Like, we like to talk a lot about abandonment. Like, we have abandonment issues, obviously, but
shout out.
But that was the worst of it, really.
I mean, that's pretty bad.
It's bad, but
the anger that you're talking about is something that a lot of kids from there grow up having. And I went to a poetry event the other day because my friend was performing, and there was this guy that was older. He was like, I know, I say older, I don't mean to be rude, but he was like maybe he was maybe 50, and he had been in jail for like 20. He was been in prison for 20 years. He grew up really, you know, like us. And one of the lines in one of his poems was like, people don't know how hard it is when you're growing up in the streets and you get older to turn the other cheek. And that really summarizes a lot of my actions when I was younger, because I was out here like,
it was survival
being a
mode.
bitch. Like, I was like, I would physically fight people. I would just like make them feel like shit. And my therapist, shout out to my therapist, is like, the thing is, when you were that age, you couldn't be angry at the people you want to be angry with. This is like my mom, you know, you couldn't be angry with her, so you took it on everybody else. And I'm sure that happened to you too. Like, your dad wasn't there to like, you know, punch him in the gut. So you had to like you had to do what you had to do to get that out of you.
And then it's like, we're both so different. So I got everything out eventually, and it wasn't until like your early 20s, right?
I internalized everything like a man.
No, where he like, there were like a couple of occasions where you would come over to my apartment, because at this point I already had my kids, you know, I had already started my family, and he would come over to my apartment and just break down, and it was hard for him to really like say it, I'm the oldest one, so I was so busy lashing out and being angry at people because I couldn't be angry at who I wanted to be angry with. And he was like, oh, like, she needs to do it that way. I can't also add my anger onto my mom's plate because she's already dealing with this psycho bitch over here. So he like weren't even able to like express yourself, maybe.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, I'll talk to my friends about it. Like, I'll lean on my friends as opposed to like trying to lean on probably the people I should have. You know.
And at that, and like, again, like early 20s was, I guess I was already established a little bit. So I don't know, maybe you felt like safe at that point, or like ready to maybe like start speaking. Because there was a couple of occasions where you were like actually like.
Where I like actually talked to you about it? Yeah. I think it had to do with just like when I started dating my girlfriend, because she noticed it that I was like, and like her mom also noticed it, which was like a little weird. She noticed that I was like I was cool, but then also like there was like an anger in me, or like there was like a big negative, like I was like very negative, and I never noticed it.
Yeah.
And then when she told me about it, she kind of like made me break down and like tell her everything, and that's what made me feel more comfortable.
Yeah. Because
even growing up, it was like I was like the crybaby in the family, so like everybody just kind of avoided me, or not avoided me, but they were just like, I don't want to talk to Ricky because
we don't want to hurt his feelings. Yeah. We don't want to make him cry. So yeah, you were always very quiet.
Yeah.
And
So you're like putting your feelings behind everybody else's.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a good thing. For a long time, I thought it was a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Like it's anger. Like we're both experiencing anger. And you're so right. Like I've never saw it that way where it's like I couldn't really. But even then, honestly, like the way we grew up, even if he was here, I wasn't gonna tell him anything. You know, I wasn't gonna. I didn't feel safe enough to be able to be like, you fucking hurt me. I don't think I even have ever.
No, I did it once.
Yeah, you did.
My therapist is always like, you need to forgive your mom, and I'm like, but in order to do that, I need to actually tell her. You know, she actually needs to like say sorry, and I don't know if
Like acknowledge
it yet, and I don't have like I'm not ready to do that, and I wasn't ready to do it then because she was like, so my stepdad was hella abusive, like send her to the hospital abusive. So I was like, I'm mad at her choices, but she's dealing with a lot right now. I'm not gonna, and I still am kind of like that. Like I still feel like, oh, I rationalize things like, oh, she was doing this because she was all fucked up. Like she clearly wasn't thinking like how she should or doing things how she should because she was all fucked up too. And so yeah, I understand not doing it in the moment.
Yeah, I think once when you told me that you had said something.
What,
I don't know if it was your experience or my experience, but I remember one of us said something and then his response was, well, it already happened, so like let's move on or whatever. But never
No, that
really.
wasn't mine.
I guess it was mine.
I thought that's what I was gonna get. Like I thought it was gonna be a big fight, and then he apologized and cried, and I was like, "Fuck!"
You wanted to like,
yeah, I was like, "Damn it! You just fucking stepped on my candle. This sucks. I'm not gonna talk to you for 6 months."
No, dude, no, I guess it was me because then I was like, "Oh, you are never going to really say sorry." And I don't like. It took me a long time to be able to like. We talk now every now and then, and it's not awkward anymore. But it's not the same person that raised me, because I did have those really important formative years with him, but he was the reason that we fell so hard when you know what I mean. So it was hard, but I don't know. It's hard to be able to pinpoint those things unless you start to like really process, and a lot of people don't even process
or don't want to. It's too hard. Don't have access to a therapist. Like I journal now because I wasn't able to afford her anymore because I was doing it out of pocket. So now I journal, and I'm like, sometimes I see my journal, I'm like, I know as soon as I start writing I'm gonna start crying. Like so I sometimes avoid it for that reason, but it's hard. Yeah, I'm 38 and I'm just not like processing most things. So,
well, I feel like because I'm 30, I feel like social media helped a lot with that, especially TikTok. Because like,
come on, TikTok.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, as much as people bag on like social media and stuff, like our parents didn't have that, to learn from, and it's like the algorithm caters to like
they know you're mentally ill.
Yes, yeah. I mean, honestly, and as weird as it is, like it does show you things that you wouldn't know. So I kind of am mad at how much empathy I've learned, because I want to be mad, but then I'm like, oh, he didn't have anything to go off of. And then like his own like childhood trauma.
Yeah, that was his experience. So he just thought that was normal.
Yeah.
He was also a feral child. Like,
yeah,
really
he was.
think about it.
His story was very sad, and we didn't learn about it until after he left, when we were expressing ourselves to our mom.
Yeah,
and then and he didn't even tell my mom.
He told our grandma.
He told his childhood story to my mom's mom, my grandma.
Damn.
But I mean, everybody loved our grandma, rest in peace. But he felt very comfortable to be able to talk to her, I guess. And that's how my mom learned of it. And then we learned from our mom. And then it was like, oh, okay. Like, I can't really be mad at him. He had nothing. Yeah. He had nothing to go off of as far as like working on himself. And it sucks because then you do blow your life up. Mm-hmm. And then you cause pain on all these people that...
I did the math the other day. The year that he left was when he turned 40.
Midlife crisis.
Yeah. I didn't even realize. Also, it was 2008, so it was like the housing crisis and all that. So it's like,
which fucked us even
He's like,
more.
I can't have a family in this economy.
I gotta,
I'm never gonna be able to afford a house for these people.
yeah, so just leave them homeless.
Yeah, I mean,
It's better to be homeless than to be in debt.
so,
It's not. It's so not.
so you're right. Social media is like fucked up in a lot of ways, but
I am.
the destigmatization of mental health is great. It's great. Like I talked to my mom about suicide for the first time the other day.
Really?
And she was, it was rough because obviously, you know, more than the environment I grew up in, like so much shit was happening, like murders in my family. So it's like a novela. So when I was 16, I started having those thoughts. I never told her the other day in passing, just because it's such a it's such a nonchalant thing to mention now. Like, oh yeah, I'm suicidal all the time. And she's like, what? And she just like started crying. And she was like, after all the love that I gave you, like, how can you want to kill yourself? And I'm like, listen, this isn't about you, okay?
First and foremost.
First of all. And like, I'm not going to do it. I just always wanted, you know? So, so I had to make her understand that. I'm like, listen, I'm not going to do it. I just like hate being alive. That's all. So yeah, and that's because of the way I grew up too. Like maybe I wouldn't be suicidal, you know, have suicidal thoughts right now or ideation if I didn't grow up thinking life was such shit.
Yeah.
You know, if I had more hope in the world or in society in general, like maybe I wouldn't, you know, think living was so shitty.
Yeah.
And even when you're doing better now, it's hard to let go of that scarcity mindset, you know? So there's so many things that we could talk about just because of the way we grew up there. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it is different times, you know, like when did you graduate high school? Or
2003.
Okay. So 2003, I was in 8th grade. And that was like, but at that point, I mean, as the years go by, it gets better and better and better. So you were, you know, going through like the drive-by shootings and all that stuff. And it was getting better. Like I didn't go through that, for example, and my brother less so. But
yeah, I think like we went to the same middle school, so I think like as y'all were leaving, because I think your freshman year was my first year of middle school. I'm pretty sure that's how it worked out. And like the 2 grades above me were like still pretty bad. But then like the grades that went behind me, they were like smoking weed or whatever, but like it wasn't anything.
it wasn't as crazy.
Yeah, I think it started getting better. And also I think like once my grade got in there, like the academics ended up getting better. Like we ended up like doing really well.
But what doesn't change is the family aspect, like the situations in
the economic situation.
Yeah, and
not even just economics. It's like fucking our dad left. Our dad wasn't there, and then you said you had a stepdad, right? So like your dad also wasn't in the picture. It's like the like family unit isn't as important as it used to be. Yeah. That's one thing that kind of like fucking scares me about having kids. Is like, fuck, I don't want to fuck them up.
Oh yeah, I have a son. He's 7. I think about that all the time.
Oh my God,
I think
me
about it
too.
all the time. But he's doing great. So I think based on how I think I'm doing fine. But yeah, it's more than just academics. It's more than just economics. And it is, you know, the patriarchy. It is capitalism. It is over policing. You know, it is a lot. So like, I'm like, if I can just help with this one thing, which is just to like, I think art gives people hope.
And I mean, honestly, when I saw like, cause I don't think you posted all of them, right? All of the whole exhibit.
Maybe
did
not.
You? No, I think you only did like 3 or 4. But the ones that I did see, I was crying. I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know how to put it in words. I just knew it was familiar. I knew it was my story too. Like, and again, not as like you had it way worse, obviously.
You don't need to see that. Like,
but it
was bad all around.
Yeah.
Yours is pretty bad.
You're still tagging on me, girl. What you talking about?
Yours is pretty rough, dude. We never shot the guns that we brought into my school, so we just had them for protection.
No, whatever. No, but it was like, it's hard to explain.
I think the general sense of the show is that these kids are abandoned. Us. We're not important. we're not important to anyone. Like this kid's they go to Hillcrest. Like they're making sure like they're not getting left behind. Like society as a whole. But us, we're just disposable.
Pretty much.
And I think that's the general sense is that we were disposable. The kids that live in Webb Chapel are disposable. Society's okay with like, oh, we see you drowning, but we're just gonna leave you there anyway. And that is fucked up. So,
or even worse, they're like, figure it out.
Yeah.
Like you're drowning. But
that piece is called sink or swim.
Yeah.
So yes, figure it out. Like we're not gonna help you. We're okay over here. And that's what's wrong with society is that some people are disposable and some people are not. And no one is disposable. So if you get the sense that we're very similar, it's probably that. Like society just abandons that area and those children.
Yeah.
Like if you're not going to care about the adults, at least care about the children that live there.
Kids like that have no say, no agency, no resources. It's really sad. And then on top of that, because, you know, when I had my first baby, I, you know, went home after, and then like, you know, a couple of days after you give birth, you have to go and get the baby checked out. So you go back to the hospital, right? I will never forget this. The nurse was like, I was young, obviously. I was like 19. And she was like, I guess she saw like our fear because my husband is only like 2 years older than me. And so she was like, yeah, but you know, I've been doing this for 30 years. And in my experience, Mexican parents are the most loving parents. They're the most active parents. The Mexican communities like the most together, and like said that. And for whatever reason, I felt good because then I was like, you know, you're right. Like for some of us, most of us, our moms are very on
involved.
top of us. Like, and especially in my experience, like our grandma raised us, my mom is raising my kids, and so it is very familial. But again, like not everyone has the same situation. So we're Mexican and we're already forgotten about, but then it's the ones that don't have the family backing that it's like even worse for. You know,
no, she's right. It's a very communal way of raising children in Mexican families, and that's due to the matriarchs of the family, the grandmas and the aunts and the moms. So that is true, and we did have that growing up. Like we were so close to our cousins because it was always like this. It wasn't until we were older that we started, like teenagers, that we weren't doing that anymore. So that is true, but that doesn't mean we don't like need attention too. You know,
and a lot.
Can
I ask you, like, the BLM movement, do you think that the Hispanic community could ever do something as big as that? Because I always see, especially like back in the 70s when all the stuff was going down with LULAC and everything, we got a lot of our inspiration from Martin Luther King and like the walks and stuff, but I feel like we regress versus their community, or at least more in media. Do you think that we could ever get to that point?
There's so many aspects of that are, for example, Cesar Chavez, like everyone loves him. Great labor leader. Totally sexist, very racist.
I was about to say.
Even Dolores Huerta, is a little bit, you know, there's things that, so the way that I will respond to that is that everyone is tied to each other, and what's going to save us is solidarity. Solidarity, it's not like a black movement versus a brown movement. Like even in the 70s, the Brown Berets and the Black Panthers, they worked together. And that's when they started separating. So the CIA is like, oh shit, they're working together. Like we can't have that. So that's when they started separating us. We need to like work together. Whenever a black person gets killed, we need to be there, you know, because they kill us too.
Yes. But why is it that, why can't we also in some way form something to say that?
I think it's like, honestly, I think it's a language barrier, because a lot of the brown people that get killed are undocumented. Or, you know, like the man that got killed recently in rural Texas. What is the name of the city?
I don't remember.
It's in North Texas, but it's kind of rural.
Oh,
His neighbor killed him. His white neighbor killed him.
Ah, fuck. I know which one you're talking about.
For example,
was
now,
that in Saxy?
No.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the surrounding areas very well, but he was killed, and they're making a big deal about it now.
No.
Yes, we got to do that. And a lot of times it is a language barrier. A lot of times they're undocumented, and even within our own community, there's colorism, and there's like a sense of, oh, well, you're undocumented, can't associate myself with you. I'm a good immigrant. I'm a good, a good Mexican. So that separates like our community up into these silos that don't need to be there. So to answer your question, could be a lot of that. It could be a lot of that. So
do you think it's the duty of the ones that are able to communicate in both languages to really,
we need to,
it's real. So basically it's like, what the fuck are we doing? Like,
we're not doing much.
We're
when
not
that
doing
happens.
anything.
But a lot of times it doesn't get out because it's in an undocumented community. So these people don't want to make waves. Like the wife of this person, he was documented, but like a non-documented person gets killed. The wife of that person could also be undocumented, doesn't want to make waves, doesn't want to be on the news. They're afraid of getting deported. That has a lot to do with it because a lot of the brown people that get killed are undocumented. And they're just disposable. So we need to create that like solidarity with our undocumented community. And, also with like Afro Latinos, like Latinidad is just like stupid anyway, but,
and because it's woke culture, a lot of people won't understand that sentence.
Latinidad, like, but it is Latino. Like the way that people view Latinidad and exclude some people from being Latinos, because they're black, or
no sabo kids.
Yes. That's just stupid. Like we need to just be in solidarity with each other. Be in solidarity with workers, with immigrants, with, with women, with queer, trans people. Like, if it's really so simple, if like the most oppressed person is liberated, then so fucking are you, so like, why is it so hard to like fight for black trans people? Yeah. Like if a black trans person is liberated, then you sure as hell don't have anything to worry about. So stop worrying so much about your own liberation. Stop worrying or start worrying about the liberation of everyone, of the most oppressed person. And then you don't have shit to worry about either anymore. If they're good, you're fucking good. So that's what we got to do. Like we got to stop we got to like just dismantle classism, within our communities, colorism within our communities, and just a separation of documented versus not. And really, like, that's a start.
That's a big.
And also, like, fuck this, fuck the state.
Oh,
fuck the 100%. State.
Like, no, fuck Greg Abbott.
Fuck these like brown people that become border patrol agents and cops. Oh my
god,
fuck that.
Thank you for saying that. First of all, the border patrol.
Yeah,
because come on, the fact that you're here and you got lucky, sir or ma'am. It's all about luck. I could have easily have been born, on the fucking in Mexico, and it was by chance that my mom came over here first and then got pregnant.
Yeah,
what
and
I mean?
Also like, I don't want to be here. Take me back to the dungeon. Like I want to go up there.
Same. I've been thinking about moving back to Mexico. So. But then I would be using US dollars, so then it's like I'm gentrifying Mexico. But yeah, what do you think about that?
Girl. So here's the thing: we live in the mountains. Like we have to drive 30 minutes to even get to a grocery store. We live up in the mountains. So whenever you become a dual citizen, which is what I want to do, the government just gives you land. If you're a citizen, yes, if you're a dual citizen or a citizen of Ciudadano de Mexico, they just give you land out there, not everywhere, because everyone's leaving. So they give you land so you can build your house and you stay, and they give you land to like grow crops on, and they also help farmers a lot there.
What?
It's not a perfect country by any means. So if you're a dual citizen, you can also take advantage of that. So I want to do that. and I want to take advantage of that. But I do have those thoughts of like, am I just, you know, taking this opportunity from someone else?
Yeah.
So it's hard, but at the same time, like it's setting myself up for the future too, because my mom, you know, has set herself up now. She's retired, and at some point she's going to go back. And yeah, it is American dollars, but that's her home.
Yeah.
And like, even though we weren't born there, we spent whole last summers there. Like the first 3 years of my life I spent there. And then after that, 3 months every year, every summer growing up there. And I feel at home more there more than anywhere else. So it's something to think about as well.
Yeah.
But it is a neighborhood. It is a little town that's dying out because everyone's leaving. So
yeah, I don't know they just gave you land like that. I know you can like
it's not everywhere.
Purchase.
It's not everywhere. It's just that people are literally the town is dying. Like the only people that are there are just like older, you know, people that their family sends them money. But all the young people are leaving. So I think that's why they do it.
Yeah. Wow.
Being Mexican is hard.
For real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Nora, I want to say thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. I know it's like weird going somewhere and talking to people like about these things is hard, you know, but I really appreciate it. Can you let us know where your next exhibit will be, or what the next thing that you're working on, or anything that you want to shout out?
Well, like I said, I'm working on getting the cultural center funded. It's just an idea right now. And I would love for people to tap in and do that work in the Bachman Lake Webb Chapel community. So, so just like be more active in that. And I hate saying that, because to me, I'm more of like a Molotov cocktail person, but like that, yes, you can burn it up all you want. And that's great too. That's one tactic. But another tactic is to do it this way, the bureaucracy type of way. And unfortunately, the only way we can get these things is through the council member, through the city, going to these town halls. So like, if you're from Webb Chapel and you're not there anymore, start following District 6 politics. Start following the council members. Start following what they're doing, because they post stuff. They're not trying to hide the meetings. They just, no one really sees them. So we need to like show up at these meetings and like be our ratchet little selves, you know, like, because they are expecting no one to show up, and they're expecting to be able to do whatever they want with that money, with our money. So we show up and tell them what should be done with our money in our communities. And that's one way of going about it. And if you want to go out and tag, you know, as well.
I want to tag, allegedly.
There's places where you can do it legally. We can get together later, but there's so many things that everyone has a role in the revolution. You can do the bureaucracy way, you can do the Molotov cocktail way, you can like do the nurturing way, you know, where you can help all these people that are doing the work by helping them, you know, nurture them. And there's just so many things you can do. So all I want to say is like, if you're out there and you want to get involved, there's so many ways to do it. And like, if you ever have a question about how, just like hit me up on Instagram and I'll help you.
But is there like a page with news for District 6?
Go to the District 6 council member Facebook page. He posts everything there. And a lot of people don't know that you can always make an appointment to see him. He's like a city servant. Like if you want to talk to him, you can always set up an appointment and go talk. You don't need to be this city official to meet with him. Anyone can meet with him. And his assistant, Laura, she's very like, she's very responsive, and will, even if you email her, she's very responsive. You call her, leave her a voicemail, she'll call you back. So it's very easy to get involved. I know that it's hard to find the time to do it or the will, but if you're angry and you want to do something, like, we need you, you know. But
well, thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Thank you for listening to my ramblings.
Yes, of course. Anything that you post, we'll definitely share on our Instagram page. I'm gonna go follow that guy, Omar Narvaez. Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna follow that guy.
He's from District 6, but he's from West Dallas, which is also part of District 6. So he has a stake in it too, you know.
Yeah.
He just has to work within those parameters, and he has to be, you know, he has to be like the nice, polite, you know, yes man sometimes. But
so we yell at him, and then he takes it and puts it in a nice pretty bow.
I mean, I yell at him. We probably shouldn't yell at him, but
because I can yell.
if he's not doing his job, go yell at him. But if he's working with this,
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. Go follow Nora. What's your Instagram?
It's Positronics, which is something I chose a long time ago. But
Positronics will share it so you guys have the link, and we'll see you next week.
Later.
Bye.